Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this past week there has been a lot of information about the upcoming iPhone 12, as well as watchOS, new iPads, Macs, and more. So I wanted to talk about all of those different leaks that have come out. Now the first thing is we do expect the iPhone 12 models, there should be 4 of them, to launch this coming September and then be available in October, meaning Apple will probably have an event where they talk about the iPhone 12. This is just a mock-up of it, but the iPhone 12 with 4 different models, and then launch them in October for everyone to get them in 5.4, 6.1, 6.1, and 6.7 inches for different models, depending on which one you get. Now, the one new piece of information has to do with its battery. It looks like they may have smaller batteries. Now, that's not necessarily a problem based on the Apple chipset that will be in it. So maybe the A14 chipset is that much more efficient and it may be better in general. But it looks like, at least from what's been registered, according to Mysmartprice, that the battery capacity may be a little bit smaller. Now also, there has been a ton of different videos about what might come inside the box. And currently, when you buy an iPhone, you get a power adapter, you get some EarPods here, and you've got a lightning cable. And as you can see, I have them all in the package. And so for some people, at least with the iPhone 12 or maybe the 12 Pro models, it looks like here is the packaging, and there may not be any of these accessories except for the lightning cable inside. Now, if Apple does that, it's kind of a okay thing for some people like myself, but other people may not have many power adapters. In fact, the 5-watt power adapter, while it's not that expensive, if you don't have an iPhone before, or maybe you had an Android phone and you want the iPhone adapter, I would hate to have to actually purchase it later and then add to the cost. I can see them doing this for e-waste reasons, but it still would be kind of a not great move. Now, other than that, it looks like the iPhone 12 will also have 6 gigabytes of RAM in the top of the line Pro models. So maybe the largest size, like this one here on the right, may have 6 gigabytes of RAM, where the regular versions have 4 gigabytes. Now, we know from what Apple's done in the past, even with the latest iPad Pros, 6 gigabytes of RAM seems to be just fine. So I really would not expect that to be a problem with iPhone 12. And then finally, there has been a patent this week that shows Apple is working on a folding phone. Now, I've talked about this before, and I would really expect that anyway. They're always working on prototypes and a folding phone, but this patent at least shows that the folding phone would have exposed surfaces for notifications. I sort of like that idea, although I would like to see what Apple has. I've used the Galaxy Z Flip, and it's kind of nice, but it doesn't really add anything that I want personally. It sort of just makes the phone thicker and folds. It's got a really nice screen because that type of display is right on the surface. But a folding phone, to me, unless there's something like the Surface Duo that Microsoft's working on, or Apple has a different idea, I would love to see what they have in mind. But right now, a folding phone is pretty early, and I haven't seen any application that make me want to run out and buy one. So I'd love to hear what you think about that in the comments below. Now, with Apple Watch, watchOS 7 is in beta. I'm running it on my current Series 4 Apple Watch, and every year Apple releases a developer beta, but it looks like on their website they may have a public beta. And so if they do have a public beta, that means I think they'll have a way to revert your watch back to the previous version. Now, in the past, if you've had a problem with your Apple Watch and you need to revert it back to, say, watchOS 6, you can't do that without sending it into Apple. And so that's a big problem and creates a lot of work for those at Apple if you had to send in, say, 100,000 watches of people running betas. So maybe they'll have a way to revert it, but at least it's on their website, so maybe we'll see a public beta for watchOS this week, maybe next week, maybe we won't see it and it was a mistake, but it's pretty interesting to see that they've put that there. Now, the next version of iPad, or the 12.9-inch iPad like I have here from 2020, the 2021 version may have mini LED, and we've long heard this rumor that Apple's going to switch all of the panels to mini LED at some point, at least on the iPads and the MacBooks, and that would allow for hopefully more power efficiency and maybe thinner displays overall. But expect the first models to launch early next year. Now, when it comes to the Macs, this is the area I'm most excited for when it comes to new hardware, because Apple has said that we will have new Macs with Apple Silicon inside by the end of the year. Now, according to Ming-Chi, we'll have the 13-inch MacBook Pro by the end of the year, which seems to be interesting because I thought it'd be a MacBook Air like this, but also it looks like a MacBook Air may be available by the end of the year also. So maybe we'll have a new MacBook Air with Apple Silicon in it, or maybe not. But at this point, it looks like expect a MacBook Air at the end of the year or early 2021, and then all new redesigned 14 to 16-inch MacBook Pros with a whole new form factor, mini LED displays in the second or third quarter of 2021. Now, last time when Apple switched from PowerPC to Intel, it took about a year and a half. They announced initially that it would be 2 years, so I would expect a similar transition, although it will be really interesting to see what they have for, say, a Mac Pro, for example. But it looks like we're going to have some updates as far as that goes. Now, when it comes to the Apple glasses, it looks like they're still in the works, and they've begun the trial phase, according to some of the leaks. Now, that means that Apple's trying out maybe what they think is a finalized design, seeing how it works, and then having them ready by 2022 or maybe even 2023. So don't get too excited for them yet. If they surprise us early, that would be great. But at this point, it looks like they won't be ready until that point. But they have sort of figured out what design they want that's supposed to be a little bit thicker than normal glasses. And that would be great if they do everything that people are claiming, but it's going to be interesting to see what Apple has for that. Now, when it comes to AirPods, it looks like Apple may switch from this style AirPod to the AirPod Pro style for the third generation AirPods. So they're all sort of a consistent packaging size and then maybe a little bit smaller. Now, expect iOS 14 Beta 3 probably next week at this point, although Apple could switch to a week-by-week basis already, but don't expect it until then. And then also, I would expect iOS 13.6 released to the public, maybe even as soon as tomorrow. And I have it running on my iPhone 11, and of course I'll have a video on that when it comes out. So that's all the information from this past week. Let me know what you're looking most forward to in the comments below. And if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course I'll link it in the description as I always do. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.